Because I always think about what happened if everything stopped today. And I think when you're coming from the bottom and you're earning your way up, you don't want to go back to the bottom, but you're not scared of it because you've been there before. If I have to lose everything I have today, I know I have the strength to build it back because I've done it before.
Just played the Red Star recently, and Kendrick Nunn did the grenading.
Yeah.
Was it a bet between you guys before the
Yeah,
game?
we had a little bet.
Would you do it?
Would you do it? I would do it for sure.
He would throw the bazooka or something.
Yeah, I would do it for sure, bro.
Nunn, he signed. He got a little Porsche. Where's your Porsche?
Hey man, whenever you talk to DPG, you can talk to him about this. I mean, he deserves it, and I'm more than happy for him. If I can get one too, I'll be happy to.
Is there any money in the world that you would take to play for either Red Star or Olympiakos today?
I wanted to get back. I wanted to go back there. I went to Partizan because of Red Star. Everybody wanted me in Red Star beside one person, and he made sure the deal didn't happen. And I was like, if y'all don't want me, I'm gonna make sure like y'all gonna pay back. So I went to Partizan to be like.
It was revenge tour.
It was revenge, and I knew I was gonna play them a lot of times. So that's why it was really personal, and I just wanted them to know like y'all fucked it up.
Mathias, my brother, welcome back on the pod. Always good to see you. We're gonna start with some rapid fire questions. You just choose your favorite answer.
Let's do it.
Panathinaikos, Olympiakos.
Easy one, Panathinaikos.
Partizan or Red Star?
That's easy too. Partizan.
Paris or Martinique?
Martinique.
EuroLeague final or Olympic final?
With the win, Olympics for sure.
And finally, Grobari or Gate 13?
Grobari 13.
All right, you got it.
Mathias, how is rehab going?
Rehab is going well. We at the end of it right now. It's just been going well so far. Every day we're getting better. Every day we're getting closer to a return, and now is the time to just be patient and focus on the work we have to do.
Do you think it's the worst moment that an injury could have happened in your career?
For sure, yes, for sure. It was probably going to be the biggest, summer of my career, and I was looking forward for that. I was really excited about what was going to happen. I think I'm in the best shape of how that I've ever been, and I'm the best version of myself I've ever been in my career. So, I was really excited about this, and the timing was really unfortunate, but it's a part of the journey, I guess.
And we all saw this picture of DPG sitting on, it was your couch, right?
Yeah.
DPG sitting on your couch. Guide us through this moment of how did it happen from you being injured and him re-signing you for 3 years?
Man, it was pretty quick, to be honest, because we was already talking about an extension in the summer, but I told him I wanted to be patient and like what we said before, wait for the summer and see all the options that we have on the table. And when that happened, they let me know really really early that they was there, and the offer that they made was already there, was still on the table, and that it was my choice to decide what I wanted to do, and he really took a lot of stress off my shoulder and weight off my shoulder, and I was able to make that decision. It came naturally, I'm really happy here, and I want to build something.
Is it true that the first moments for you, like they said, the first month after the injury was hard? Like I think in the interview you said like you were hiding from your teammates at some point.
Because it's my first time being injured. It's my first big injury, and I'm a competitor. I'm a guy who wants to be around the team. I like to give energy on and off the court to my teammates. So, and I feel like I'm the one who give positive energy all the time. So I was super frustrated. That's why, like I say, I was trying to see my teammate the least possible, because it was really frustrating for me to be a guy who doesn't bring a good energy. I bring a negative energy, more or less, because I'm here and I'm not happy of the situation, and seeing them getting ready for games, getting prepared to to go play, and me, I'm going to the treatment room to get my therapy, and it was really difficult for me mentally and for me as a man to deal with that.
So how did you manage to hide? Like, what were you doing to hide from your teammates?
I was just making sure that when I come to the gym, they all left or they was not
That's
there
crazy.
yet. So yeah, I was either coming to the gym like an hour and a half, 2 hours after the practice was done. I was making sure that I was going to leave the gym an hour and a half or 2 hours before the practice starts. So, there's a little gap for the guy who come early, who want to practice before, or the guy who want to get treatment, the guy who want to leave. Usually the guy arrived like an hour and a half. The first guy arrived like an hour and a half before practice. And same thing, and if practice finished, by the time some guy get treatment, they want to leave, they want to shoot.
Yeah.
So like an hour and a half, 2 hours after practice, everybody gone. So I was just making sure that, every time, I called the trainer or whoever I had to see, the assistant coach or whatever, and making sure I call him like, everybody gone? Yes, I'm coming in 2 minutes.
But on the other side, like, how are your teammates supporting you through this moment, even right now?
Man, super supportive. They came to see me, all of them. They came to the hospital or to my house.
Okay.
Or they sent me a text message. But yeah, they was really supportive, as you could see during the game. They all talked about me in their interviews when they had the occasion. They let me know that I'm still a part of the team and I'm still a part of the family. So.
Talking about the game, man, like you just played the Red Star recently, and Kendrick Nunn did the grenade, how do you say, celebration,
Grenade
the grenade
celebration,
celebration. You guys all went crazy.
Yeah.
Was it a bet between you guys before the
Yeah,
game?
we had a little bet. Before the game. We talked about it because Jamoran had done it the day before, so
man.
he was laughing about it. We tried to see who was going to be bold enough to do it, and
Of course
then
it's
we had
gotta
a
be
bet with Kay and Jay, and Kay did it, but Jay lost the bet.
I think he
did
forgot it, right?
He did a little shy one, but that don't count. He didn't throw the grenade; he just put his hand. That don't count. K one was legit.
Would you do it if you were playing that game?
Hell
Would you do it?
I would do it for sure.
He would throw the bazooka or something.
Yeah, I would do it for sure, bro. And I don't know if there is an angle of the game. You can
I saw
see
you,
that,
yeah.
but when K did it, I threw the grenade even before him. Because I've told him at halftime, because we had the bet in the morning, and I think he forgot in the first half. So I told him at halftime, I said, "Why you threw the grenade yet?" He said, "Oh, damn, I forgot." And then he said, "I'm going to do it now." And then he hit a three right after the third quarter started, and then I knew I was going to do it. So I even did it before him.
Do you think that if you wouldn't have this injury, that you would be in this MVP race with K?
I think so, yeah. I was in the MVP race the last 2 seasons. I think this season I did even better than what I did the last 2 seasons. So I think that, I was for sure going to be in that top 5. I was there the last 2 seasons, and I'm doing even better. So for sure, I think me and K will fight about it, I guess.
Yes.
But it's very rare to see a center in the MVP race.
Yes.
What do you do differently than every other centers in Europe?
I don't know what I do differently.
Man.
I just be myself. I just be myself, really. I don't want to say I do something better than anybody, or I just feel like, the way I play, I'm the most. I feel dominant, and I feel like I can dominate anybody, and I just go on the court and I have fun. I just be myself, and that separate me. Yeah.
Getting a bit back on this unfortunate event that happened, do you think that your frustration came also because, we can all agree on the fact that you would have had maybe even a greater opportunity after the season being healthy? Do you think that this was also part of your frustration?
100%, yes. This what was the most frustrating part. Like, you do a lot of things to control stuff, and something that you can't control happen and destroy everything that you build. It's really frustrating.
Did you have any offers from the league? Because, on the Olympics, if I remember well...
Your rights belong to the New York Knicks, right?
Right now, I don't know. I really don't know my rights. Every free agency, I forget. And I think now it's Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it goes all over the place.
But
every time I forget.
Like,
but I think now
Alex, Olympics, Isaiah, Gershon, Matthias, like, I think you were on the list of some big franchises, right? Did
Yeah,
you get
no,
any official offer?
I had an offer, yeah. I had
From
an
who?
offer from New York. I
Okay.
mean, they're the one who had my rights, so they was the only team who could offer me. I think it's some team who tried to trade for my rights because they wanted to offer me too, but New York didn't want to. They was not all interested in the offer that they received, and yeah, no, they was interested in bringing me, but you know, I had my contract here. And when we called Pana with my agent to see what was the options, they let us know really quickly that it was no buyout and that no money was gonna make them let me go. So yeah, we know that it was a waste of time to dig into the opportunity, but no, it was for sure there. And now during the summer, they told me that the offer was still gonna be on the table this summer, and we had even other teams calling and trying to see what was the future. But yeah, for sure it was going to be something on the table there this summer. But
But your teammate Gershon, actually, he made the jump. He jumped on the opportunity, signing to Philly, and there's those talks that he's basically paying to play this year, right? Is this a risk that you would be willing to take also?
I would, for sure I would, because the NBA to me is more than a dream that only me share. It's a dream for my island too. Only one guy played there before me, and
Churiaf, right?
yeah, Ronnie. And I wanted to be the second guy to do it. I wanted to inspire the kids. I wanted to have people in my island looking out for me even more than what they do now. I wanted people in my island being able constantly to watch me play on TV, because with the time difference, it's easier to watch NBA. And just, to be a role model for the kids, even more than what I do now. So it was way bigger than just playing in the NBA or be an NBA player. It was really about something bigger than what I could imagine. So it was really a goal for me, but we'll see what the future holds.
Still a long career though. Still a long career,
Hopefully,
man.
we'll see.
We watched a podcast with Alex recently that surprised us a bit. It was like a couple of NBA players sitting around the table, and there was this question asked of, if you have to choose between a championship or a max contract, what would you take? Everybody chose the max contract, which is understandable, of course. Would it be the same for you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Man.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's bigger than me. Like,
yeah,
true. The ring only impact me. This contract impact everybody around you. It can impact your whole neighborhood. It can
and your
impact
islands.
your family. It can impact the whole island. So
yeah,
it's no brainer.
What are you doing today to help your island?
I'm doing thing. I'm trying to talk to kids as much as I can. I think this is the most important thing to do. I'm trying to go in camp. I'm trying to help kids that I see. I try to help also financially as I can.
Nice.
I try to be there for talk to people. They just renewed the court in my hometown where I'm from.
Nice, man.
We did that together with the city. So
that's cool.
It's a lot of things I'm trying to do. I wish I could do even more, and I'm trying to do even more than what I'm doing. I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing. I think I can do much better, but I'm still trying to help as much as I can and be this leader, this role model that I want to be for the kids.
But weren't you just elected like the best athlete of Martinique recently?
Who?
You?
I don't know.
No, I think I saw somewhere like in the medias or something.
Probably, but I don't know. Really, I don't know.
Okay. But okay, people have this image of Martinique. They see the postcard, they see just the beautiful island, the beautiful sea. But what is it really like growing up there?
It's definitely different than what the tourists experience. Growing up there, it's not easy at all. It's one of the places with the highest crime rate in France. It's a lot of poverty there. We are part of almost the third world. I've talked about it, and we see what's going on there right now with the strikes and everything. We are not treated equally by the French government, and
price is very high, right? I think
prices is high.
Crazy, man.
Hospital don't work. Roads are bad.
Crazy.
The hospital there is terrible. The water it's got pollution in the water. we cannot use the ground because it's a lot of pollution in the ground too. They use some pesticides. I don't know how to say that to kill
Pesticides.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
pesticides.
Yes.
They use some pesticide in the ground that is really increasing the risk of cancer.
Damn.
And what's crazy is that everywhere in France, this was banned beside in the island
Oh wow.
of Martinique and Guadeloupe.
Why?
That was the only because this pesticide they used it in France and they discovered that it was really bad for health, so they banned it. But a lot of people bought already the pesticide, so they had to use it, and they just send it to the island and say, okay, y'all can use it.
This
there.
is crazy.
That's crazy, yeah.
You said poverty. Is this something that you have been affected of during your childhood also?
Yes and no. I didn't realize until I had to move out of my family because I grew up in the house. It was 15 of us I think in the house, between my cousin, aunties, grandmother, uncles, my mom, dad, cousin, brothers. So we grew up all together, and every time we had a problem with something, another person could provide. If my mom
Nice.
had a difficult month, my uncle would provide. If my uncle couldn't, then my dad. Everybody was just helping each other. And we learned really early how to share. I was sharing breakfast with my cousin, and we had fun doing it. It was not something that we felt like, oh, I want to hit the whole thing by myself. It's just like we had fun sharing stuff. And we were also lucky that where I'm from, we can eat fruits of the trees. My grandma had a lot of fruit trees in the house. We could just go and get guava,
Nice,
avocado, all these type of things, mangoes. So a lot of these things we didn't have to buy it. We had it in our home. So also this was helping us. But when I left and how this thing couldn't do anything for me, and now I needed my parents to send me money, when I was in Chalon.
You sent them very early?
They was supposed to, because I was 15.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, I needed some money to,
Yeah, of
go
course.
out and eat and stuff like this. And sometimes I had to use €100 to last 2 months,
Oh, wow.
So, when the other guys are around, they go out to eat, on the weekend, they go to Subway or they go eat a kebab, and I want to do that too, but I had €100 for 2 months. So
Was this
it
a
was
motivation
difficult.
for you very early on to be able to also get this Subway or this kebab?
Yeah.
It was, but at the same time, it wasn't to the extent I reached now. I just wanted to be able to help a little bit my parents financially,
Nice.
and to be able to be independent and do what I wanted to do. But we're not really educated about this in Martinique because we don't have no pro league. We don't have access to a pro guy. I cannot talk to a pro and see how we live and be inspired by these guys because they're not around us. So I didn't know that you could win money like this, life-changing money in basketball. It was either the NBA or in France. I could never imagine that you could win this. To me, like being a high-paid player was like €10,000 a month. To me, that was like being something crazy. I could not imagine that in Europe people was winning more money than this. So it was not to the extent that I've reached now, and no, if I just wanted to be able to help them a bit.
But we've had Eddie Tavares on the podcast a while ago, and he said that the goal of Cap Verdeans is to lead the islands, right? Is it the same for people in Martinique?
Not no more. At some time it was more or less. For people who want to play basketball, yes, definitely. But for a regular citizen, it's more and more young people from Martinique that's coming back because they've been to different places, they explore different things, and now they have enough knowledge, and to come back and try to build something. And we see that we can do stuff in the island. Unfortunately, we're being blocked, by a community there who's not letting people from the island open in business, or they're trying to get a share of everything you do. Because, like I say, the island is really in a bad place, and it's a really small part of the island controlling everything that's going on and sharing everything. And if you're trying to get a piece of the cake, they're going to make sure that you don't get a lot of it, or that they're going to take a piece of your piece.
That's crazy.
So. But it's more and more young people who trying to build stuff there, and we're trying to be independent and change that, and that's why everything that's going on now is going on, because we need to make a change, and we will succeed to do it.
You shared with us, Matthias, this strong family bond you had during your childhood. But do you think that outside of this, your childhood could have taken a different path?
Yeah, 100%. If it wasn't for basketball, I don't know what I would be doing right now. You know,
Oh, really?
I don't want to sound cliche and say, yeah, I would be this and I would be that, but at some point of my life, I kind of gave up on basketball, and that was the worst part of my life. You know, I was really in a bad position. I got kicked out of 3 schools. I was just in a bad place. You know, I was missing class. I was getting ejected. I was getting into fights. I was just taking a really bad path. You know, and I was lucky enough that one guy believed in me. His name is Henri Palvair. He's a guy who changed my life. When things was going bad and everybody kind of turned it back, he was the one who let me know that he still believed in me and that I still have a chance to turn things around. You know, obviously my parents was trying to do their best, but when you're a kid, if you want to do something bad, you're gonna do it. You know.
You wouldn't be there where you are today without him?
No, 100% for sure.
Oh, really?
No.
How do you give it back to him today?
First, I'm just there for him. You know, he don't want nothing from me. I went to see him in Saint Martin this summer, and you know, I surprised him. He didn't know that I was there, and I came to the island, and I went to his basketball school there, and you know, we embraced each other. He was crying. I was really emotional too, and you know, it was something that, you know,
Beautiful, man.
I couldn't imagine when I was there, and you know, he was yelling at me. It was really hard on me, but he knew my potential and he knew what I could do. It was way harder with me than with the other kids, and but it's because he had the goal for me, and today he believed in me even more than I did. So yeah, he changed my life.
So you think he's not surprised that to see you at the level you are today?
I don't know if he's surprised, but I don't know if he could imagine this. I think that as I told you before, that if you tell him that I would be a solid guy in French league, he would sign for it and he would be more than happy. You know, I don't know if he could. I couldn't imagine this. You know, we don't know about all this where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know about EuroLeague. We don't know about. He probably did because he's way more experienced than me. But when I was young, I didn't know about all this, so I couldn't imagine that for sure.
Talking about EuroLeague, one of your stops was Bayern Munich. I watched an interview of saying that it was one of your worst periods of your life.
Yeah.
Can you guide us through this moment and why it was one of the worst periods of your life?
Because this season nothing was going well. We was losing. I didn't really like the city, and I'm a guy, you know, when the basketball part don't go well, the rest of my life cannot go well because I'm in a city to play basketball. I'm not here to be a tourist or to enjoy the city or to enjoy the night, whatever. My first goal here is to play basketball. So when I go somewhere, my first goal is to be good at basketball, and then because I'm good at basketball, I can allow myself to do different stuff. And in Munich, we was not good as a team. I was not playing. I didn't have any opportunity to play.
Who was the coach back there?
Dejan Radonjic.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a lot of stuff that happened that he didn't control also.
Okay.
And, it was a lot of things happening. He got fired. We was losing. We didn't have a especially good group of guys. None of my teammates was bad or like, you know, I respect all of them and we don't have no bad relations. It's just that the locker room didn't really click like that. I didn't like the city because of everything that was going on around, and it was just really bad. You know, I was almost depressed there, and it's crazy to say that I think COVID was the best thing that happened to me.
Oh my God, why?
Because we just stopped everything, and I could just take time on myself, and you know, it was to a point where damn near the worst part of my day was going to practice. You
That's
know
crazy.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So you like hated basketball this much at this time in your life?
I still love basketball. I just hated doing it there.
It's crazy to see, like, it's crazy to hear this from from you knowing
Yeah.
the kind of player you have been in the last 3 years, you know?
That's crazy. And then really, I love basketball. Like I said, I really love basketball. It's just that going there and it was just the worst day. I just didn't want to do that. I didn't enjoy basketball anymore, and it was really difficult. And I don't hold nothing against the organization, the people there. I think nobody wanted the season to go like this, but yeah, it was really bad experience for me.
How do you go from this situation, which is really bad, to just 4 years later being the top player in EuroLeague that you are? It's such a short time for that.
Yeah, I just knew that I could do that from the beginning. Even if you go back to when I was 22 and I was playing Red Star, I had some games where you could see that I had potential.
Yes.
And you just had to believe in it, you know what I'm saying? And that's all it takes. It was one coach to really believe in me and to give me the key and to let me play. And it changed everything. But even when I was there, you could see the potential. I think in the Rising Star, it was Luka Doncic was untouchable. And then I think I was second or the top three. And, the two other guys, they went to the NBA and me, I went to EuroCup. So I just knew I could do it, and it was just a matter of time and opportunity, and it was just me keep working and keep believing in myself, and that's what I did. And then until, first a coach in EuroCup with Vesdan Mitrovic believed in me and give me the key and let me be one of the main guy, and then after this Jaco and everything changed after this.
Talking about potential, obviously both of us as French people, we obviously know your career, but both of us discovered you the first time.
Shocked. We were shocked.
Probably. I have the stat here. The 19th January 2021.
I know.
Let me tell you why. It was COVID.
Yes.
Lockdown.
That's the whole story.
Bro,
No one was in the gym.
I have the stat sheet here. It was only Alex and me, and I think the board.
Yeah.
There was nobody in the gym. You had 20 points, 9 rebounds against Malaga.
Hold on.
Let's say nothing special for Mathias Lessort. Bro, out of 9 rebounds, you had 8. All of them, you scored a basket.
8 offensive rebounds.
8 offensive, sorry. I was shocked, bro. I was like, what is this guy doing in EuroCup? Like, do you think that in Bayern, you felt 6 months earlier misunderstood?
1000%. And also in Malaga, it was also personal.
Oh,
because I played there.
He was Malaga before. Yes, I remember.
I played in Malaga. So
it looked like it was personal, man.
It was
Jesus.
personal with, not with the organization, but with the coach that was there at the time. So it was personal with him, and yeah, I had something to prove against them, and yeah, I think I did.
We still talk about this game, like even now. Just last week we were talking about it.
Crazy. And that's why I really want to ask, what do you think was missing for you to sign in Monaco to be part of the EuroLeague roster?
What was missing?
Yes.
Honesty.
Honestly.
Yeah, honesty. I don't think I would be part of the roster, but yeah, I think I'm a straightforward guy, and I can accept critics. I can accept that you can look at me in my face and tell me I don't think you're good enough for this. I'm gonna just prove you wrong, and then I'm gonna put it back in your face. But I'm gonna respect the fact that you was honest. If you tell me face to face and we talk, and that's what you tell me. So,
I mean, it opened the door for many new opportunities. One of them being your amazing year at Partizan. And we could see it. Everything clicked that year.
Yeah.
What was the best memory you have from your time in Partizan?
When we won the chip, for sure. When we won the chip, and we celebrated with the whole gym. We celebrated all together. We didn't know if it was the last time or not that we was all together, because nobody knew what was the future holding. But we just had a crazy year. We fell short to be in the EuroLeague Final Four, and we all felt like we deserved it, and we just wanted to give the fans and the organization something to celebrate after the year we had, because we couldn't leave this season without a trophy. So.
And okay, my question: do you think that if this crazy fight didn't happen, would you have won the EuroLeague?
Guys, just quick one here. This episode is brought by BrainRock, a global payment provider delivering seamless financial solutions with a personal touch. It's actually amazing because whether you're sending money from across borders or managing multiple currencies, BrainRock makes it possible with their multi-currency accounts, prepaid cards, foreign exchange, and banking as a service. With BrainRock, you're not just another account number, you're a valued client. Stay ahead of the game with BrainRock, your global and trusted payment solutions partner. Thank you so much, BrainRock, for being our trusted partner, and please stay on the show and enjoy the rest.
Honestly, I think that we would have. I think we was in the best shape, and we was rolling. We played against two of the Final Four team. Before that, we played against Madrid, playing against Olympiakos. We beat both of them, and I just think that we was just at this moment in the best shape in the EuroLeague, and we was just rolling. And I think that the mindset that we had and the way we was playing, if this didn't happen and nobody got suspended and everybody was healthy, yeah.
I mean, for me, you were winning for sure, 100%.
The way we was playing, I don't see
it was scary.
Who would have stopped us that year. Yeah.
We had Papa Petru on the podcast just a couple hours ago before you, and he asked us to ask you a question because he was with you in this team at this moment. He said, "Ask Mathias why he started this fight."
Why is what?
Why he said, "Ask Mathias why he started this fight." Let me explain, because he said that without you having this fight, or at least being involved in this fight, I think he said involved. He didn't say started. He said involved. You would have won the series.
But he said this jokingly, like he didn't accuse you.
That was his statement. So I need to, transfer this question to you now.
I mean, I don't think we started the fight. I think KP just reacted. Obviously, if I knew I would have hand, I would have ran immediately and break it apart and tell KP, let's just finish the game. But on the moment, before we basketball players, we humans, and it's some stuff on the court that we're supposed to accept as players that as human we cannot accept, because if you at your work and somebody come and punch you in your stomach, how you gonna react? Even if you're not going to take you at work, somebody punch you, like somebody just hit you. You got to protect yourself. So we have human reactions, and obviously it's unfortunate, and we all wish that this never happened. But I look at KP in his eyes, and I'm not gonna say he reacted bad, but he had a human reaction. Like, he's a human. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to criticize and say, why you react like this? So put them in that situation. Like, go to work and somebody just go and hit you because he don't like the fact that you did your work better than him, and see how you react.
Bro, honestly, I didn't know that your boy Gershon was a pro wrestler. Like, what was this move, man? Did you talk about it?
Did you guys were like almost getting like fighting you and him, or was this like, okay, we both French, okay, we're gonna stay out of this?
To be honest, it's crazy because I even watched the video and I'm like, how I didn't see that, but I didn't even see him.
Thank God.
Would you have seen that? How would you have reacted?
I don't know how I would have reacted. I for sure would not fight him because we go way back, and that's my
that was
brother.
A crazy move, man.
But I really didn't see it. I was looking for somebody. I will not say who, but I was looking for a player, and I couldn't find him. And
we gotta guess.
Even if you say the name, I won't say.
Okay.
I was looking for a player, and
looking for a player to kill.
I was, and I was just looking, and I didn't even see Gershon there. I didn't see nothing, and everything happened so fast. Like, everything happened so fast that obviously, when you know the outcome of everything, you wish you could have reacted differently. But on the heat of the moment, it's like I say, we're humans, man.
Yeah. Talking about fights, I think you saw together, right? This incident you had with Petrusev.
Yeah.
And obviously we know you.
No, just the way he smiled, man.
No, but like we know you, the nice guy you are.
Yeah.
Like what happened, man? Like what happened to make you react this way?
It seemed like all the anger as soon as the buzzer went off
Because
went
we didn't
out.
understand like what was going on. Can you guide us through like what really like was going on?
What was going on was that, he was playing the same way, and I told him to stop playing like this a couple times during the game, and he plays the way he plays, and he do what he do. But I told him to stop doing that, and at some point I told him, like, if you want us to hit each other, we can hit each other after the game. So I told him that, and he said, "Oh, we can't keep talking, whatever, whatever." And then he did something again. I said, "All right, when the game is over, it's gonna be me and you." And I don't know if he took me serious or if he heard me, but yeah.
But
And
then there was talking about crazy events. I think you were playing in Monaco, and there's this crazy video of the interview where you played against the Serbian team,
Yeah,
and you just started cursing the out of him in
Budućnost.
Serbian.
yeah.
First of all, how do you speak so good Serbian?
First question. I think he knows like how to speak Serbian in this kind of situation.
Oh man,
I use the words that I know, but like I say, man, we humans, bro.
Yeah,
Of course, man.
We all humans, and we also react sometimes how we shouldn't. Like I say, we trying to be role models for kids, and we trying to be an
Yes.
example for them. And we don't want to show that to kids. We don't want them to follow that, but at the same time, everybody and kids also got to understand that we are human and we are making mistakes. And I told you how I grew up. I grew up in Martinique, and I didn't grow up with people who tell you to let things go. The way I grew up, when I was young, I was getting into fights. I was like I said, I was not the best kid. So this my background, and that's how I grew up. And even when I moved to France, I struggled a lot because, when you're in Martinique, you feel like everything is a challenge. And I told you I got kicked out of 3 schools, so I had to move to different school. And sometimes they're far from where I'm from, and when you move to a school, people are gonna try you early. So when they try you early, it's either you're gonna show them early that okay, leave me alone, don't mess with me, or either you're gonna get they're gonna mess with you the whole year because you let them do it sometime. And I was taught, and I learned early that you gotta earn your respect one way or the other, and that was my way of earning respect when I was young. And sometimes when I feel disrespected, this the way I want to earn my respect, even if it's not the right way. But like I say, we all humans, so I work on that, and I try to be better. I'm trying to do better and to be more able to control myself. And I'm overall, I'm not a guy who wants to fight all the time or who nervous. You see, I'm a chill guy. I'm cool.
Yeah.
It's just
100%.
that sometimes it's like
Don't
if
try
I gotta
me.
do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. But it's not the what I want people to know me for.
We saw pictures, you remember, of him going to the police station, Petrusev. Did you have any like charges at this time? Against you?
He didn't go too far, but no, it
Okay.
was, but yeah, I had to go to the police station too. I was called.
We're growing as a media in basketball, in European basketball, and we're seeing that sometimes media are pretty aggressive towards player, and they sometimes forget that, as you said, you guys are human beings. You do mistakes, you have emotions. Do you wish that sometimes media would treat players differently, especially those crazy cities like Athens, Belgrade?
100%. But they, like I say, they want us athletes to be all the time perfect and to never make mistakes. But we make mistakes like everybody. Nobody's perfect, and we are not perfect, despite the fact that we want to be, and we trying to be, because we know that we are being looked at. But yeah, people sometimes forget that like everybody else, you're human. You have good days, you have bad days, you have mood, you have feelings. Like you just don't go out and play basketball. You also wake up in the morning. You have stuff that you have to deal with. You got your personal problem. You got stuff that you're going through. You got your trauma that you're dealing with. You got stuff from your past that you might still trying to heal from, and everybody had his own journey, and everybody's journey was not easy. And you know, you might wake up in the morning and just you know, you had a bad news or something happened to you, and people see you and they don't think that you might be like that day, you know, and they want you to always be smiling, always be positive, you know. You might walk in the street and somebody asks you for a picture and you really don't want to take a picture that day, but you're still going to say yes, you know, and smile on the picture. And because of this, sometimes people think that, you know, everything is good for us because, you know, we obviously we privilege in our life because, you know, we have some advantages that other people don't have, but we also have some stuff that we have to deal with, and, you know, we human beings before anything.
You said something very interesting that everybody, like, you know, we all human beings, as we said, but I still believe that sometimes things can go a bit far. For example, we saw too far. Yeah. Last time you played in Red Star Arena, you know, when you had this moment that went viral on social media where you had the stare down on their fans. I actually saw late after what they were throwing on you, bro, like bottles of glass.
Yeah.
Like, can you guide us through this moment? Like, what happened for them to, like, you know, throw this at you, man?
I don't know what happened to them, you know. I just go and play basketball, but, you know, I was at this moment I was trying to calm myself down, and it's just I was looking in the stands and I look at some of the guys in the eyes and I can see in their eyes that they're not really what they're trying to be right now, you know. You can see in people's eyes what they, you know, the eyes don't lie, so you can see through people's eyes what they really feel. And when I look at you in your eyes and I see that you're doing it because it's 10,000 of you in the gym, I'm not really scared of you. But I was trying to calm myself down. Mostly I was like, all right, just don't react, just don't react. And
best halftime interview ever. Ever, man. Literally.
You know, luckily nothing hit me.
I was looking at the phone, I was scared, man. So
luckily
I
nothing.
Can't imagine
nothing,
I think
nothing
we can all agree that this was very close to take another direction, right?
I don't know how I would have reacted if something hit me, but
thank God.
Thank God nothing hit me, and, you know, it was just insults and shames.
But you know, there's some players that, you know, basketball is just strictly business for them, and some players that, you know, get fueled by personal matters. I can feel that for you, everything is personal and it's all about intensity.
Everything is not personal. When it is personal, it is personal.
Yeah.
And it is personal, but everything is not personal. You know, at the end of the day, you know, whether I was a pro or not, I would play basketball because I love this game and I love to play basketball, and I'm a competitor, you know. When I was young, I was already competing, and it was no money on the line, no pride on the line. It was just that, you know, we would do it for the love of the game. And even if I was not a pro, I would play basketball. So everything is not personal. I just go out here and I try to be the best player possible on the court. I try to be the best guy to help my team to win. And I just want, you know, you just want to be the best at anything you do. So I was just trying to be the best at basketball as I can be, and that's it. But yeah, sometimes it is personal things happening.
Mathias, what was your favorite moment within this hostile environment?
Probably game 3. Yeah, game 3 my first year. Because game 1 and 2 was really hot when we was there, and it was crazy. And, you know, they made sure that we knew we was on the home court. You know, our league is different than your league. In your league, they behave.
There's rules.
Yeah, they don't want to get fined. They don't want to get this. But in our league, you have more freedom, let's say. So they have no rules in our league. They just throw stuff. They try to speed on players. It's crazy. And I remember in game 3 when we. when they went outside, because they went out before us, you know, we was in the hurdle. They went out, and, you know, we was talking, and then all of a sudden you just see a boom, and then another one, boom, and then we didn't know what it was, but I was just...
It's Kendrick Nunn throwing the grenades.
It was probably Kendrick throwing grenades, yeah, but I think they threw some fireworks on the court.
Oh,
on the court?
Yeah, And I don't know, like they was running because we was about to go on the court, and we just see them run like left and right because I think he popped next to the hurdle, so they was running, and I don't know, this got me hyped. Like I was just saying, oh shit, it's going down. Like it's like
Bro.
they came ready.
Bro, normal players they say, yeah, I got scared. He's saying, yeah, that got me hyped, bro.
Yeah, that got me hyped. But to join what we said before, it's not good to do this. I don't recommend no fans.
But
do it. But at the same time, when you're there and you because they was going crazy on us the first game. They threw a glass bottle on one of the assistant coach.
That's crazy.
And it was like it went this close to hit him. And then if it was, I don't know if it was game 1 or 2, but at some point at the end of the game, it was like a little scuffle where. They threw the thing on the assistant, one of the assistant coach. He wanted to report, but then when he went to report, some guy told him like, "Stop crying about bullshit." Like, they just threw a fucking glass bottle on me. Like, that shit could have killed me, literally, because it was broken before. Yeah, it was broken.
It's like a weapon.
Yeah, it's like somebody throwing a knife, really. So he wanted to report. They told him to shut the fuck up, whatever. So he went at it with the guy. Some fans came down trying to do something to him or like intimidate him. So we went and get his back, and it was a lot of things going on, and yeah, when we came in game 3, yeah, all fans show us not to fuck with us. Yeah, they showed them not to fuck with us.
You played for Partizan, you played for Pana, you had this big viral release. Is there any money in the world that you would take to play for either Red Star or Olympiakos today?
I won't be serious if I say it, because when I was in Red Star, I said I would never play for Partizan. But then things changed, and I went to Partizan because of Red Star, actually. So when I say I was not gonna do it with Red Star, I mean it. I was not gonna do it until it's like, I don't know, if you're faithful to your best friend and then your best friend do something to you, betray you, you're not gonna be faithful to him anymore. So it's kind of what happened,
What did Red Star did to you?
First of all, when I left, they talked really bad about me in teams. I lost deals because team was calling them, and they was telling not to sign me, that I was a bad person. I was a problem in the locker room. I really lost deals, and I was, like I said, I was 22. So I was 22-year-old, and they're trying to stop my career at 22-year-old. They're trying to tarnish my career at 22. It took me a long time to get back from this. Matter of fact, we talk about Munich. When I got to Munich, my first week, my first talk with the coach, because he was in Red Star, he really attached to Red Star, Bayern. And my first talk with him, he came to me and he was like, I just want to let you know, we're not in Belgrade here. All the bullshit that you was doing in Red Star is not gonna go here. Like, you gotta behave when you're here. It's a professional
Come on now.
organization. It's Munich, and I was like, damn, like, I just got here. Like, give me at least a week to see how I move or how I behave before you tell me this. So this tell me that why they was telling people about me was really to the point where they're like, all right, we gotta let them know from the first day, like, don't bullshit, And despite all this, because I missed a shot in the final of EuroLeague, and I felt like I hold not the team with the fans of Red Star or something. I mean, I wanted to get back. I wanted to go back there and to get them back. Get the title and win and set everything. And then when I left Munich, when I left Maccabi, it was a little talk. Like, Red Star wanted me, and it was Red Star and Partizan, and everybody wanted me in Red Star beside one person, and he made sure the deal didn't happen. And I was like, despite y'all doing this to me and y'all talking bad about me, and I was still ready to come back and to still like trying to set everything, and y'all still on some like, nah, fuck him, whatever. And it was one guy only. So I was like, all right, if y'all don't want me, I'm gonna make sure like y'all gonna pay back. So I went to Partizan to be like,
It was revenge tour.
It was revenge, and I knew I was gonna play them a lot of times. So that's why it was really personal, and I just wanted them to know, like, y'all fucked it up. Like, y'all got me fucked up, yeah.
Can we say who was this person of Red Star?
I don't want to give him attention. It's not even that I don't want to say his
Fair
name.
enough. Fair enough.
I just don't want to give him attention.
Fair enough.
He like attention too much.
Fair enough.
So, you said that this moment of your career, like it took you a while to recover from it and bring back your career to the level it belonged. Do you have any regrets from your past years in your career, or nothing to regret?
Regrets, not regrets. I don't have regret. If I could change some stuff that I could change for sure, but I don't have anything that I regret. Everything led me to who I am today and built who I am today. Uh, the fact that I play in a lot of different teams in different countries helped me a lot. I discover a lot of culture. I see a lot of different the things that I could never imagine I could see. And he just built my character. He built who I am today, and he built the yearly champion that I am today. So I wouldn't change that.
Now today you're in an amazing situation. So, and also like I gotta talk about it, but you're not the only one who's having fun here. Your son, he's going crazy every single game. You guys, is a mini you. You guys are brothers. You look more like brothers than father and son. Like what's going on with this?
That's my boy. That's our best friend, man. My son is crazy, and he's even crazier when you're with him on a daily basis because he never fails to surprise you every day. He's really an amazing guy. He got so much energy. Like he even without knowing it, he pushed me every day. And yeah, that's the best thing that happened to me in my life was to have my son, and he's just amazing.
This picture, this moment that you had with him when you won the EuroLeague.
Beautiful. Man.
Like listen, I had tears. Like. Not because you won, but because of this moment. I don't think a man can wish for better in life than this that you have right now, right?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Was he also a reason why you took this Pana deal, to be honest?
For sure. Having responsibilities, having people to feed. I took a lot of risk. In my career, I played 1 year almost everywhere.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, always 1 year,
I signed 1 year deal almost everywhere. Even if I signed like a 2-year deal, every year was an optional year. So I was always making sure that I was betting on myself all the time. And Partizan was the first team where I re-signed. And because it's the first time I had my son, so I wanted some stability also. And I reach a level where it's difficult to gamble. When your contract is not as big, you can take risks, but then you want to take risks to get to the big contract, and then when the big contract arrives, it's difficult to say no, to take another risk, to gamble again. Even if this gamble can pay, we saw, like we talked before about Gershon, he took a gamble and he went well for him, and it's the best thing that can happen, but in my situation when I was injured, I still could have tried to go to the NBA and see how I come back from this injury. But then nobody know how I'll come back. I have no doubt that I will be better. I will be a better player. I will be a better guy. I will be everything. I work so hard and so much to come back that I know it's gonna be better. But nobody know for a fact how it's gonna happen. So. It was the stability for me and for my family to stay here, and yeah, I think it's time for stop gambling at some point.
Talking about Pana, there's one question I want to ask you. You won the EuroLeague last year. Already a crazy stacked team full of superstars. You guys added even more personnel to this team. Was there a moment where you felt like, okay, we won it already. We have already such a big roster. Why to add even more elements? Like Cedi Osman, Lorenzo Brown, all of these guys that obviously need minutes. Was there a moment for you that you reflected, okay, like we killed it with this, big amount of stars. Why to add these kind of elements?
Honestly, I think last year we became a super team, but I don't think we had.
You think so?
No, because when you really look at it, the only big name that I would say that we signed, I would say it was me and Slukas. I think that one show, despite him playing 7 years in the NBA, he never played in EuroLeague before. Jalen Grant was not playing when he was in Milano.
Mitoglu had a monster season.
Mitoglu didn't play for a year or two. Jalen Grant is coming from EuroCup, and when he was in EuroLeague in Munich, he was not playing. It was a mistake, but he was not playing. Luka is a player he's a good EuroLeague player, but he's not a guy that when you sign him and you're like, oh, like the team is totally different. Despite he's a guy who's an X factor, And Cal guy was a guy coming from Euro Cup, even though he had a great season. Oleg was coming from Euro Cup. Kostas was coming from a year in Fener where he was not playing. So it was a lot of guys because they did good. Now everybody's saying yes, they this and that, but a lot of us. I don't think it was and even I say myself, but even me, I was coming from 1 year of playing good in EuroLeague. Like nobody knew if I was going to be able to do it.
I mean, you were one of the big names. Let's be honest.
For sure, no. That's why I say I was one of the big names.
And even Kendrick coming in the season is also a big name, right?
It's a big name, but you don't know. A lot of guys come from NBA and they don't do good in EuroLeague. And it takes time to adjust. And you see Juancho, for example, he's a way different player this year than last year. Because he needed time to adjust, and now he knows the system, he knows everything, so it's way easier for him. But last year when they signed, it was his first year in EuroLeague. Juancho was a EuroLeague rookie.
True.
So it's a lot of guys where, it's big names for sure, but you don't know really what they're gonna be. Now, obviously, we won last year, and then you had a guy like Shady, who was already in the EuroLeague. You have a guy like Lorenzo, who was one of the best free agents in the EuroLeague. Or you had a guy like Omer, who coming from NBA, who also played in EuroLeague before. It's different when you're already a champion and you already have this team. Now you can talk about super team. But I think last year on the paper, I don't think at the beginning of the season that, we was that good of a team. When you look at it, we became that, but I don't even if you had Kendrick from the beginning of the season, like nobody know what Kendrick was gonna be.
Maybe it's the perspective of the people because you were just playing so good.
It's because when the marketing here was really good, and every time they signed a player, they made it big. They made sure we signed Luka, boom. We signed Ataman, boom.
Yes.
Oh, another bomb, Lessort, boom, another bomb, Lucas. So everything was looking
true.
So everything was like, oh yeah, we're doing big stuff. But when you really look at it like with basketball perspective, it was a lot of question marks on the team last year.
I got a question for you. Nunn, he signed. He got a little Porsche. Where's your Porsche?
I don't have a Porsche.
No gifts for you?
Hey man, whenever you talk to DPG, you can talk to him about this, and we can have a deal.
We will slip in the word for you, man.
Alright, send in the word for me. But no, it's it was a great gesture from the president to K, and he deserved it, and I'm more than happy for him. If I can get one too, I'll be happy too.
You are split.
Is K the best point guard you ever played with?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because you played with a lot of point guards.
No doubt, yeah. He's probably the best player I played with, for sure.
Wow. Especially right now, bro, he's cooking.
We got to talk about this little matchup they had, past MVP Mike James against Nunn, 37 points. Mike James is my favorite player, but you can see, yeah, bro, but this year Nunn is the MVP.
I think he is.
You think he is?
I think he is.
Not Sasha?
No, I think he is.
Why?
Just because what he's doing is, what Sasha is doing is unique, and he is his own kind of player. But I think that we saw last year with Peters that somebody could duplicate, even if it was way different. And last year, Olympiakos' main problem was that they didn't have a player who could close game for them like Evan was doing it. The problem was not that the foreman was not scoring enough. And for us, the problem was that we needed a guy like K last year. And I think that what K is doing is
straight killer.
Nobody can do it. And he's still getting better and better. In Monaco, he had 30 points and 7 rebounds.
37. We saw the game live.
37 points and 7 rebounds.
I'm still recovering from the game.
He's a guy who do everything on the court, and he's changing the team, and he's so valuable for us.
Mathias, you had, we just talked about it for like an hour. You had this very different path. Went through a lot of stuff. I think a lot of people didn't expect it where you are today.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing you would say to a young center that wants to become a player of your caliber today?
Just to be himself, just to work hard, believe in himself, not trying to be something different, something that people want him to be what he thinks is the best, but work to be the best at this, and just believe in himself. Just be patient, believe in yourself, and just work hard and yeah, just be patient, work hard, and believe in yourself, and just be yourself.
And what would you say to a young kid from Martinique that wants to make something out of his life in general?
Guys, just quick one here. We're actually able to record all of this for you guys thanks to the Grand Hyatt and Athens. They gave us this amazing suite where we're able to record and have these amazing conversations. So please, if you're in Athens, you know the address. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Despite the door being really small, it's a door there that we can take, and it's a really it's a subject that really touched me because like I say, it's a lot of poverty in Martinique, and it's a lot of youth that taking a wrong path because they don't have guidance, they don't have role models. I didn't have a real role model until I really get into basketball, and I started looking at Ronnie Turiaf and my brother, who was also playing in a pro level. And
Lessort, big shout out.
And I was lucky enough to have a brother who showed me the way, and not going on the wrong path. But a lot of kids, they need guidance, they need a role model, bro. And I just want them to know that it's possible. And not only in basketball, we see with in different stuff, Martinique people can be successful, and we can be something despite all the obstacles that we have to overcome, all the ups and downs and everything that we have to go through when we're young. We have to believe in ourselves, we have to believe in our potential. People have tendencies to reduce what we are and who we are, and no, we big, like we represent something big. We small on the map, but we big on earth, and we can be impactful people, and we can be bigger than what anybody can expect, and we can be bigger than what we can imagine.
Are you ready to be this role model for these kids?
I don't know if I'm ready. I'm trying to be. I think this is like being a father. You never know if you're ready or not, but then when you become a father, you have to be ready, and you have to become that. And I didn't prepare myself to be a role model for kids. I just grew into it, and now I realize that I am this, and I realize when I go back there, when I go to school, that kids know me more and more. Kids look up to me more and more. They talk about me more and more. It's more and more kids following basketball, and more and more kids knowing about EuroLeague. And if I can just do that and just be this guy for one kid, like Ronnie Turiaf was for me, that's enough for me to just, even if I change the life for only one kid, it's gonna be one life that I changed, like this guy changed mine.
It's amazing.
There's always this one question we always ask to finish the podcast. If one day everything is over, what do you want to be remembered for?
To be a role model, I guess. To be a good father and a role model. And it's funny because I always think about what happened if everything stopped today. And I think when you coming from the bottom and you earn your way up, you don't want to go back to the bottom, but you're not scared of it because you've been there before. And me, if I have to lose everything I have today, I know I have the strength to build it back because I've done it before, and that's where I'm from. And I want people to remember me as a guy who came from the bottom and who built his way up. I don't know how high I would build my way, but I built my way up.
Matthias, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you, man.
It's really always a big pleasure to talk to you, inspiring, and I wish really you nothing but the best, in your life, in your career, and we'll see you on the court very soon, man.
For sure.
Let's go.